Now that I have all the percentage of cells in each stage calculated, I have relabeled that section so I know where I have those numbers that I need to make my first graph. I also relabeled the actual sheet to data analysis to make sure that I know where my information is. Now I'm ready to calculate the averages for each one of these treatments. So I will make a separate column for average, and I will also make a column for standard deviation, both of which we need in order to make our first graph. To calculate the averages, we will simply put in the formula for it. I will say equals average, and I will select the row containing all the information for group 1 through however many groups you have. And I will tell it to average it for me, and it gives you the number. And then for the standard deviation as well, I will put equal sign, standard deviation, select the formula, select the same numbers for group 1 through 3 since I only have 3 groups, and get the number for me. I can now pull this down and I get the numbers for all my other stages as well within the baseline. I can then copy this formula, and you can go down to high serum control, paste it as formula, and you will get your numbers automatically calculated for each one of these rows that you're interested in getting the averages and standard deviations for. So I will do that for all my different treatments, and here we are. We've got all the averages and all the standard deviations needed for our analysis. Now we are ready to make our first graph. To make the graph, I need to make sure that I have the information that I need. I'm going to copy the stages that I have. So I will say copy, put them over here, and I will write the treatments that I have. You want to make sure that your graph is not going to be too busy. So I like to use shorthand for my different various labels. I can always explain them within the caption or also within the legend and the text, so the reader can understand what it is that I'm talking about when I say B or HS or LS, and make sure that you do that. Your graph caption is the best place to describe those things, as they are very important in understanding of the graph itself. Also, the information should be present in your text as well when you're describing the table or graph associated with your information. Okay, so here we go. I've gotten that. I'm going to keep that as that. Now all I need to do is copy the numbers that I've gotten for my averages over to where the information is for where I'm making the new table that I'm going to use to create the graph. So I would just copy and paste as numbers, not as formulas, because I want these numbers to remain the way they are. I do not want to change that. You can also just do copy paste and it should work as that. In that case, if you were to add in new numbers, it will automatically change it for you. So for example, if I were to take the numbers from a different place, it's going to automatically change them. If I change the numbers here, it would change the final outcome over here as well. Okay, so TMSO, and finally I will have my RA or retinoic acid in the last column. You also need to go ahead and make a separate table where you contain your standard deviations, as you're going to need that as well for your graph. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just copy and paste it right now, right here, and then change this to standard deviation. You can clear the contents and it ensures that my format remains the same so I don't have to worry about things getting mixed up. Copy and paste again as values, so you have all the various values intact. And then once I'm done with that, I'm ready to actually plot my graph for this part of my exercise. Okay, so I have my numbers for both the average as well as for the standard deviation. I'm now ready to plot it. I'm going to go ahead and select my data set that I want to plot. You're going to go into Insert and add the graph. And here you see it is giving you a graph like the one you want. Now you can also select for a different type of graph if you want. You can select for it to be grayscale, anything you want. I'm just going to go ahead and use the one that it pulled up with, because then I can show you how you could change the different aspects of it according to what you want as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and remove the grid lines, either by deleting them myself, or you can go ahead and click on the plus sign and then tell it what you want it to show. I'm going to do the axis titles. I want to add those. I'm going to remove the grid lines. We want to add the error bars, so I'm going to select that, and then I can go ahead and go to more options to add the details that I want. I can also go up here. Well, let me cancel this for now. I want to make sure that I show you one of the other things. You can go in here, you can change it into a grayscale or a different color choice that you would like. So for example, I can click on the bars that I would want to change color of. I can change it to black. I can change the next column to, let's say, gray. I can change the third column to a different set of colors. If I can select it, apparently it doesn't like me. There you go. Now it's selected. I can tell it to do darker gray, for example, and then my last condition, I can make it convert it to white. If you make it white, you have to make sure that you have an outline to that graph, to that particular bar, otherwise it's not going to show. Also, you want to go ahead and make sure that it doesn't have any borders or anything else. And you can do that by going to Format Chart area, go to Border, make sure it says no line, and that will make sure that it does not contain any of those informations. Make sure your horizontal axis does have a line, and that your vertical axis also has a line. So I always go ahead and make sure it says it's a solid line, make sure it's black, or, you know, in this case, grayscale. So you want to remain with those numbers, with those type of color choices. And there you have it. I usually move the legend to the top right corner, and you can play with it to make it look the way you want it to look. You can move the title down. The title actually needs to be removed from here because it's going to be part of your caption and not part of the graph itself that you're presenting. And then you can change the axis to fit the way you want it to be. In my case, I'm going to tell it not to use negative numbers. I'm going to say minimum 0, maximum 100. And then I'm going to change the units to 20, and it's going to change that for me. I can add in whatever title I need for my axis title, but quickly for the error bars, you're going to go to standard deviations. You're going to then go into more error bars.